So do you remember that Xal'atath Azshara prophecy from Dragonflight that predicted every event since then? Literally no one is talking about how the finale of 11.1 just triggered the end of that prophecy and began the final paragraph. Well, all hell is about to break loose. Remember, the Dark Heart left broken awaits the taking. The Dark Heart artifact was literally broken by Alleria, left at the hands of Gallywix, and it was just taken by an ethereal who seems to have departed to Koresh. However, it says when these things come to pass, and everything has come to pass so far, the Harbinger will fulfill the final prophecy and complete the awakening. So now Xal'atath is supposed to complete the supposed final prophecy. Even more interesting, the final line of the document says, "Soon all that was hidden will be revealed." What is it even referring to? Are we talking about Azeroth awakening as a void being, or is this referring to whatever is hidden inside Beledar that will soon awaken, that will break all Titan order? So I recently opened a second channel for Raid, and I'd really appreciate you guys checking it out, but the game right now is going through a crazy update. You can get amazing 2 legendaries completely free just by clicking the link in the description or scanning the QR code on the screen. The 6th anniversary is right now in full swing and the game is better than ever. You can play on PC with multiple accounts that are background auto battles, and there is a brand new promo code Supreme6 where all new players will get Supreme Gallic for a limited time. Of course, Alice's adventure is still upon us, and you can get Alice just by logging in for 7 days. She's currently my strongest character, and you can check out my review I have on her on Doran's Arena. Furthermore, I'm also running a clan right now where I'm active every single day. It's almost full, and I'd really appreciate you guys joining in. If you're new to the game, I got guides on how to progress from campaign to dungeons, clan boss, and arena, so you can get to the endless content Raid has to offer. So click the link in the description or scan the QR code on the screen and you will get an awesome head start. So as soon as you complete the tutorial, Ugo at level 15, you will get Alice, you will get Supreme Gallic with Supreme 6, you'll get a whole bunch of things on top of that with my link in the description. So check out Raid or scan the QR code on the screen and check out my second channel, Doran's Arena. So recently, everyone has seen what happened to the Dark Heart with the Ethereals stealing it, but literally, no one is talking about how that is the end of the line for the old prophecy from a few years back from Dragonflight that essentially just outlined everything that happened since Forbidden Reach up to 11.1 finale. It also predicts what is coming after, so let's discuss what that even means with the added context we have right now, just before 11.5 release. Now, the document itself is called the Song of the Depths. It is a Naga document. The entire document is essentially a foreshadowing for the return of Queen Azshara and how the Naga await her, but despite that being the main thing, it also predicts the entire first chapter of the World Soul Saga. So I know you guys have heard all this a million times, but let's just really quickly look over it again because we can now see it with different eyes. We can analyze this document with much more info currently at hand. Rise! Rise, our queen calls to us from beyond the umbral veil. She had transcended the circle of stars and basks in her eternal grandeur. This bit essentially says that she went from the circle of stars, this was all BFA stuff, which was the final raid, into the void veil. The interesting bit here is it was implied back in BFA that she had betrayed N'Zoth. She didn't want to deal with intermediaries, and he kinda took her and flung her somewhere. If the old gods were apparently working against Xal'atath, why would she arrive on Xal'atath's side, on the void side? Could step 1 of Xal'atath's plan that we never saw have been the release of Azshara and her trip to the void veil, or is N'Zoth here playing a double game? But I digress. The next line says, the Harbinger gathers the children of the first flesh to reclaim what was lost. They must remember their vows and serve those to whom they owe fealty. With the War Within lore, this is so obviously now referring to the Nerubians. In Khazlagar, we previously speculated on what this could be. Interesting enough, she was already recruiting them while we were messing around on the Dragon Isles. The interesting bit here as well is they're reclaiming what was lost. It is pretty self-evident from the expansion so far that the Nerubians used to be much more powerful when they were a part of the old god Black Empire, and the entire storyline of them joining Xal'atath was really to reclaim their former glory. However, I feel like that might also be related to them losing their master, that fifth old god. In the recent video, I talked about how Beledar may be a prison of their master, and how there could be a reason why they're going after Beledar, and why they really want to convert this crystal into the void. However, once again, I digress. Let's look through the prophecy. This other bit is old Dragonflight lore, so it's not really relevant to what is currently going on. Talks about toiling in the deep places, Naga going to the Dragon Isles, how the torches keep been lit, and how we will soon discover Deathwing's secrets. However, the third paragraph is the finale of Dragonflight all the way up to 11.1. So it now says, the Harbinger speaks of a primal power that seeks the end of order. Such rage can be bent to serve our ends. Obviously, this is referring to Ridicron, how this primal power helped her acquire the Dark Heart. The second line, a hunger lost to the ages will be reclaimed, is obviously all about absorbing the power of Gallywix, which we'll get to in a bit because I think this is very interesting. Why was Gallywix's power so important out of pretty much any other power source on Azeroth? And there are so many different power sources all across Azeroth. However, the next line is essentially 11.0 and 11.1, and it says, a dark heart left broken awaits the taking. So check this out. Previously, I was thinking this was just Deathwing leaving the Dark Heart in Forbidden Reach, so it awaited the taking by Ridicron, who then gave it to Xal'atath, but this is actually, without a doubt, War Within lore. First of all, Alleria shot at the Dark Heart, therefore she broke it, leaving it broken, and Xal'atath was visibly pissed. Then she recruited the goblins to fix it. Keep in mind, it was implied that the goblins had built this artifact in the first place, similar to how they had built the Dragon Soul, and it was said the Dark Heart was the proto-Dragon Soul, some sort of an discarded experiment. Now, the Dark Heart was broken. Most importantly, it was left broken, left at the hands of Gallywix, and there it awaited the taking. What appears to be a hostile ethereal to Xal'atath came in and took it. Therefore, he completed this line of the prophecy. The broken Dark Heart was ultimately taken. However, here we get to the good part, and that is the fourth paragraph that still hasn't happened, which means something crazy is about to happen. It says, when these things come to pass, the Harbinger will fulfill the final prophecy and complete the awakening. Only then shall our queen return to reign over sea, sky, and earth. We must make ready. Rise, rise. Soon all that was hidden will be revealed. So this part 100% confirms the return of Azshara is imminent. If it doesn't happen by the end of the War Within, it will very likely happen soon. It is 100% going to happen just as we get into midnight. The real question now though is, now that we have completed 3/4 of the Song of the Depths, what does this last final line mean? Everything has come to pass, so the only thing now that remains is the Harbinger, aka Xal'atath, will fulfill the final prophecy and complete the awakening. Is this referring to the awakening of Azeroth that they're talking about, or could it be something else? So the interesting bit here is that Harbinger will fulfill the final prophecy, and we don't really know what the final prophecy is. It just refers to the final prophecy, but they haven't given us the final prophecy. It is pretty evident that Xal'atath is looking to finish the job of the Void Lords, that is to awaken Azeroth as a void being, or at least open the door for the Void Lords to come into Azeroth and for them to complete the awakening. So we kind of have two scenarios going on right now. It is entirely possible that Azeroth will actually awaken, something that the old gods were supposed to do ages ago, and we may be in the process of it. We may witness the actual process. It could entirely be possible that Midnight would be structured as the process of Azeroth awakening as a void being, this battle against the clock, and us having to stop the various parts of Azeroth from awakening, and we would probably have something like nightmares spawning all over Azeroth, or parts of Azeroth awakening. So it would be kind of similar to how the Burning Legion invaded through all those portals back in the day. Or Xal'atath may be awakening something that is within Beledar. Let me really quickly sum it up because I got a previous video on this, but it is so obvious that Beledar is the centerpiece of the expansion. Titans told us recently that it is just a classification of Azeroth, but then we discovered this artwork that has stairs leading inside Beledar. Then an interesting observation was, why would the classification of Azeroth be light? Why would it emit light energy? Why would it suddenly start turning into the void? It doesn't make any sense because we have learned that Azeroth is in fact elemental. However, people have linked the book 1,000 Years of War mentioning Alleria, and how Alleria had discovered planets where beings were encased in giant light crystals for a very long time, unable to die. This spawned the possibility that the fifth old god may be slumbering within Beledar, unable to die, or whatever the void creature is in there. Unable to die implies that it has been imprisoned there for ages. It even makes sense as the crystal is a few zones deep, and we know old gods were deep in the ground as well. It could very well be that figure from that mysterious Nerubian mural, and it would explain why the Nerubians are really after that crystal. It would also explain the nightfall that is coming in 11.1.5, which is apparently the final Nerubian battle for the crystal. The attack by Sargeras did something with the old god blood on Azeroth, and the old god blood may be breaking that light prison that is encasing this monstrosity, and this is why it is turning into the void. It also explains the mural, because that mysterious figure also has a giant void crystal right next to it on the mural itself, which is almost certainly referring to Beledar. This might also explain the stairs leading into Beledar in the artwork. This must be the last line of the prophecy, the final prophecy that the Harbinger will have to fulfill. She will use the Dark Heart to shatter Beledar and to complete the awakening. Then whatever is inside that crystal would do what the Void was originally supposed to do all those thousands and thousands of years ago. Then after that, the prophecy states that Azshara will return from the Void Veil and that she will reign over the sea, sky, and earth. Keep in mind, the entire sea, sky, and earth, because so far the Naga have only been under the sea, which means the Naga may no longer be Naga if they're going to rule over the sky as well. Remember, that underwater Naga form was just something N'Zoth had given the Nightborn. The real Void forces might empower them in a different way. However, the final line of the document is also super interesting. Soon, all that was hidden will be revealed. Isn't this line itself intriguing? I mean, all that was hidden will be revealed. What does that really even mean? Are they talking about the conspiracy over Azeroth that you will discover that Chris Madsen talked about? Or is this really referring to Beledar itself? Because technically, Beledar has been hidden since forever. We only uncovered it on this island as we went a few zones deep. It was definitely a hidden place on Azeroth. I somehow feel like this final line is either referring to the fact that Beledar was hidden, or the entire Titan facade that they had built that we have been seeing through all over for years, and how it is now very obvious the Titans lied quite a bit, and that who knows what else is going on Azeroth that we don't know yet, that will soon be revealed. Thanks for watching. Check out my video on what Beledar really is in detail by clicking on the screen, and subscribe to my new raid channel by clicking on the screen as well. See you next time!